Good morning. It's actually Saturday. It's almost 9 o'clock now. I'm just going to do a recap from yesterday. After we got here midday, we did a brief intro. We had lunch, which was very good. We did everyone discussed their plans. Then they discussed planning for the trail. In other words, planning your hike, what you should look for, more logistics, a little bit of that roughly. We then did mental aspects of the trail, and then training for the trail. In other words, physical training more. I was most interested in the mental training, but I still don't think that prepared me for what I want to do.
I heard you talking. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm talking, videoing myself.
Oh,
It's okay. Don't worry about
oh
it.
my God, so sorry.
Oh no, not at all. I'm out in the open. Look, it's
There you
great.
go.
So
Happy trails.
take care. After that, we had dinner, which was great, and then we did Stuff Happens. That was around 7 o'clock to about 8:40. We did a basic talk on what can go wrong, how to plan for the unexpected, how to be flexible with your plans. Luckily, that was indoors. Temperature definitely dropped last night. I was in the bunkhouse up here, so I slept great. Had a wonderful sleeping experience due to the fact that I was out of the wind. And I was actually quite warm. It was probably in the 30s last night, and I probably was somewhere in the 50s inside the cabin house, bunkhouse. There was no heat. What I thought was a heater next to me is actually just a fan, so we didn't turn it on, obviously. And other than that, it was great. Woke up, went to bed somewhere around 9:30, 10 o'clock, well, probably a little after 10. Everybody quieted down. There was about 5 or 6 other people in there. One of the gentlemen, a hiker from Kentucky, actually came out here and slept on the porch last night. I guess there was some snoring going on. Didn't bother me too much. I actually fell asleep, but I kept waking up every once in a while, and every time someone else would go to the restroom, because you have to leave and go next door to the bathroom / shower house, the bathhouse, I guess. So I would wake up a lot. Finally woke up around 5:40, 5:30, something like that, and then at 6 o'clock, right before 6, I left. I went and took a shower in the cold, which was not good, but the water was warm. Hated to shut it off and get out, but I did put on, some clean stuff. Went to the bathroom, obviously, and set up my camera to do a time lapse of the sunrise. Unfortunately, there's a little cloudy out there, so I don't think it got as good. I haven't looked at the footage yet. My gimbal, my DJI Osmo 5, I think it is now, failed. Kept tumbling. One time it actually tipped over due to the wind, so I don't know how that footage came out. I'm going to look at it shortly, but I don't expect none of that footage I know came out. It was too dark when I set it up, and I didn't. That's when I realized that there was a gentleman sitting on the porch, because I walked over here to set it up and I see him sleeping there, so I didn't want to make a lot of noise. So about 6:30, the coffee was done, so we met on the porch and sat around, talked a little bit, and watched the sun come up. And we just had breakfast. It was at 8 o'clock. Once again, they do that circle. Everybody states what they're grateful for, introduces himself. And then we're about to pick up again, and we're going to be outside here. It's a little breezy, it's a little windy, but my feet are the only part, my feet and my hands are the only thing that are cold. I don't seem to be able to maintain the warmth on them. I got gloves, but they're not very good. I didn't plan on well enough with my gloves. But my jacket so far, and I think I put the hood on. I didn't bring a good hat. So some lessons learned there, but I definitely think I might explore getting a colder sleeping bag if I'm going to be out in this weather, and things like that. But other than that, so far having a good time. Some of the things, everybody's here for different reasons and what they're looking for, and a lot of these things I feel I'm already dialed in on, or I already have some experience, but there's still nuggets of wisdom that are being put out there that you can learn from. So I'm glad I came here. I'm glad I'm experiencing this, and I've learned some things that I'm going to take back and rethink, from what I do now and what I'll do in the future, probably. So still some good. They're going to do a pack shakedown, or I don't know what's on plan. I haven't looked at the itinerary, even though I do have it. They emailed it out, but I haven't really looked at it. I'm just enjoying this view behind me. Isn't that great? And the sun comes right up over there, as hopefully you may have seen. I'm hoping to have the time lapse in there. But like I said, it was cloudy, so you don't get as many good views. The light keeps changing with the clouds, so apologize for the quality. But other than that, it was really good. Breakfast was great. We ate inside. It was warm. It's a little breezy and cold here. It's probably in the 50s with the wind, which is really cutting it down. So, but that's it for now. And I'll check in probably later tonight or maybe at lunchtime. Good afternoon. It's about 5:20. We've taken a break. Woods Hole Hostel is hopping today. There's got to be about 20 or 25 hikers, and they just keep coming up. Cold weather. It was 39 degrees, I think, or 31 degrees maybe, or 39. I'll have to check again. And it's going to get that cold again today. The high was 56 in the nearest town. We did a lot today. We had a thing on hammocks, we had a thing on tents. We had the big three was the first session, so talking about tents, packs, sleep systems, rain gear. We covered resupply, going to town. We covered hostels. Very roughly, that really was not more from the point of owner and issues, a little bit of etiquette and things like that. So it's been a busy day. We just discussed resupplying, going into hotels, towns, doing all things like that. We're just waiting to have dinner now at 6. It'll be interesting because there's like probably 30 people here, and I don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure the bunkhouse is full. The hostel itself is full. The campground has a lot more tents in it now. There's a lot of hikers. I guess there's a bubble of southbounders coming through here. So it's interesting to see them, interact with them a little bit, ask them their experiences and stuff like that. So far, they're all pretty much young, I would say just out of college or that age, the majority of them that I've seen. So here comes 2 more hikers right now. They're older hikers though, but they're just walking in, so it doesn't stop. Well, good morning. It's Sunday morning. It's about 11 o'clock now. Just wrapped up our Woods Hole weekend. For me, I'm going to leave a little earlier. They're just interviewing people, doing exit interviews. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start driving home. I'm looking at about 13 and a half hours of driving. I'm going to try to go straight through. I should get home sometime probably 1 or 2 in the morning. Very interesting. I learned a lot of stuff here. A lot of information was given. A lot of war stories and people's experiences, which that's what it is. Everybody has a different way of doing it. You realize there's no one right way or wrong way. There's just whatever works for you. I've always felt that way. I always say, buying equipment, everyone has their own preference, their own comfort level, their thoughts. But I did get a lot of information. I looked at things a little differently in certain aspects. I like to think I'm a purist, but I know I'm not. I'll take a shortcut just like someone else will in doing things and realizing, if you can start anywhere on the trail you want, any way you want, flip-flop, section hike, whatever it is. That's your dream. And I think, I really don't like the hike your own hike thing, but I like it in the sense of what it means is just do what you want to do, and who cares what other people think. I learned a lot of that this weekend as well. Gear, I love the gear breakdown. I'm just trying to collect my thoughts and put it down here, and I'll do another recap later. But I really like the gear shakedown because most of the people are in the same boat as me. They're thinking about this. Some of them have done some hiking. Some of them have done almost no hiking, long distance, maybe a night out or a weekend, not any long distance. So we're all at different skill levels. We all have different experiences, fears, thoughts. And to see other people wrestling with the same decisions that I have internally and, with their gear, with what they're going to carry, what their thoughts are, was refreshing because you're not alone. We're all on this together. We're all thinking the same thing. We're all on the same issue. So that was good. Basically, I'm going to start driving, get in the car, and start heading south, and we'll see from there. Definitely got my eyes open to different gear. Hammocks, I never really strongly considered one, but it's definitely a thought. I might be able to drop some weight with that and increase comfort, which is what it really should be about. It's not just about weight. Everything's a compromise. Well, driving back, finally made it to I-95. It's about 5:30 and almost got rear-ended just now. 3 cars behind me just got into a crash, and the car behind me was rear-ended by a car which was rear-ended by the car behind it, and I ended up rolling forward a little bit when that car got hit. I have a tendency when I stop in traffic to look in my rearview mirror. I'm always making sure the guy behind me is stopping, and I heard the brakes lock and the rear end and the chain reaction hit the car behind me. So luckily that guy didn't roll into me, plus I moved forward as much as I could, and resulted in no hit for me. No one was seriously injured. All the cars have damage, but nothing serious, and they're all look like they're operational. I didn't check. Everyone came out of their car, so obviously no one was seriously injured. And they were checking on each other, so it looked like 2 of the cars pulled over. One of the cars was blocking the left lane. So a little more excitement than I wanted on the way home. We are stuck in traffic, I'm assuming, for an accident further up down the road. Still got a while to go that. I'm north of Savannah, probably about 40 miles away from Savannah or something like that. So we'll see. I'm hoping to make it home. Looks like I have at least another 7 to 8 hours of driving, and probably at least 1 or 2 more stops for gas. The second day was pretty much like the first one, except obviously we covered different topics. One of the topics that I did look into and was most looking forward to, I should say, was a presentation on hammocks that was put on by Skunk Ape. And I was interested in that because I'm obviously intrigued, like a lot of people, about hammocks. I've never slept in a real hammock. I've had one in the backyard or occasionally, but I've never gone camping and slept in a hammock. I find my tent to be a place that I enjoy. I think I am a tent dweller. I think I will still be, but I did try it just for a minute or two. It feels comfortable. I don't know how I would feel sleeping in a whole night. I still think that there are advantages to it, obviously. I think the weight issue, if you're willing to spend a lot of money, you can go a little lighter than a tent camper, but I think that my tent is pretty much dialed in. I like having those walls around me, a place to go, a place to put my gear, and I don't think I'm liable to change that anytime soon. One of the other classes that I really looked forward to and was enjoyable, even though I didn't participate in my particular gear that I had, was a pack shakedown.
There were several people that presented their packs just as they plan on going out hiking, and they unpacked them, showed all the gear that they have, what they were taking with them, and their thought process sometimes in picking it and why they picked that certain gear. It was very interesting to see, how we say you pack your fears, and some of the people had overly unnecessary amounts of food or water, or like 3 flashlights, sometimes like 2 knives, different fire starting material. So it was just interesting to see their fears and what they packed and why. Most people had too much stuff of certain things. Like I said, food, water, fire starting stuff, clothes were another one that we frequently overpack. And if you really want to get a little lighter and learn to reduce your weight, you have to sometimes compromise, learn to use your clothes more efficiently in layers, and decide to leave some stuff home. But I found that to be very insightful, because you can frequently see it when other people do it, but you can't see it when you do it. But it was good to see also, even among the presenters and people that have hiked, how they differ in their thought process and what they think you need to bring and what you don't need to bring. Most people agree on the same thing, but then they split off in certain ways. Like some people might not bring as much clothes or a heavy jacket. They'll go lighter. They'll bring shorts because they like being in shorts, and think pants, you don't need, or it's unnecessary. Things like that. So like I said, it was easy sometimes to see in their packs stuff that wasn't necessary and I wouldn't bring, or I realize it when I'm looking at their pack, but when I'm packing my own gear, I sometimes make the same mistakes. So like I said, I didn't get my pack evaluated. I would have liked to have done that, although I am pretty comfortable with my gear, and I think I don't take a lot of too much extra stuff, but there's always room for improvement. So I feel that depending on the trip I'm going on, I change out a couple of things to just match the environment and the weather, but my core group of gear that I take seems to be the same, and I'm pretty happy with it. Now about the weekend. I think this is a great weekend. I am used to going to training that is professionally, and even in hiking, that is very structured. I felt that this class was not that environment. It was not a very structured class. Like, we're going to discuss this. A lot of the people, I think, had talking points. They had a outline of what they want to discuss, but it very, very frequently deviated from that. The good thing about it was that these people have done what they're talking about and have the experience to talk about it. They were all available at all the time. In between classes or in between talks, they were available to talk to. So if you had a question you felt you didn't want to ask in front of anyone or you forgot about, you could talk about it. It didn't matter what class we were talking about. If you remembered something from the previous day even, you could bring it up and they were willing to discuss it. So there was a very good sense of accessibility to the presenters. And I did like that aspect. I think this is a work in progress. The people are refining what they're covering. I do think it was a worthwhile class. I think that it was worth my time to go here. And I think this, if they continue to do this, it will only get better and improve with more experience and knowing the questions and things that people ask. So just like on the trail in this training, you needed to be flexible. Frequently we're outside based on the weather, but a couple of times it was actually pretty cold where we were, or windy, and it did distract from a classroom or a learning environment, but we're out on the trail. So since we were outdoors, we had to just deal with it and adapt. So flexibility in this was important as well. What was also interesting is, once again, the different presenters had different thoughts, and you would frequently see the different viewpoints. They wouldn't argue about it, but they would present their thoughts and their process and why they thought the way they did. And what was good about that is, because you're getting 4 or 5 different viewpoints instead of just one person talking, it does give you a lot of food for thought. And Rick, you also realize more and more that there's no one right or wrong way to do this. There's just what works for you. And that was my big takeaway from the weekend. That opened up my eyes a little bit. I've always been worried about the planning and the preparation and whether I can do this or not. But I realized, yes, of course you can do this. There's nothing to stop you from doing this. but you have to do it in your way. Learning from someone gives you a step up and gets you, I think, a shorter learning curve, but there is no shortcut for experience. And in fact, that all these people are really just telling you their experience and what worked for them. And you have to learn to take from that and figure out what can work for you and what can be adaptable and repeatable for you. And some things that they did, while it works for them, are not going to work for me. This training also changed my view and my thoughts on different types of hikes. For instance, I was very much and I think I still am, I wouldn't say a purist rigidly, but I'm more to the conservative pure side, where, you have to go from Georgia to Maine, has to be in one season, continuous hike. And it opened my eyes a little bit about people like that are flip-flopping in different ways, breaking the trail up in different directions because that's what they're able to do with their work or their life. Maybe they're going southbound. Maybe they're going to do it over several seasons. So it did open my eyes that there's more than one way to do this. Obviously, I knew that, but I think I was a little bit closed-minded about it. And I think hearing some of the other hikers and their experience, some of the other participants and their plans, and even some of the presenters and how they did the trail, did open my eyes to the fact that, you know what, you do what's good for you and you don't worry about other people. So once again, my big takeaway was there's no right or wrong way. There's a lot of opinions and a lot of what worked for other people, but you need to find your way, find out what works for you, and you do it that way. And if it takes you to the finish line of getting you where you want to go, whether that's northbound, southbound, wherever, then that's what works for you. And that's what's best. So I guess what I'm saying is, while I didn't get the answers, the magic answer for me regarding the AT, I did get some answers. And I did get something that I think I can work with. And that if I ever do decide to do the AT or any other hike, which I know I can do and I have done in the past and I will be doing in the future, that I have to keep that in mind and that you do your hike. So in that way, I think this weekend was very worthwhile for me. Once again, I always come back to the thing is, you know what, sometimes you don't get what you want from the trail, you get what you need from the trail. On the last day I was there, I mentioned that the hostel was very crowded. There was probably about 44 people there. It was packed. I don't think there was a spare bed. And it was very interesting. And I noticed that, once again, the demographic stood out to me of the people. But when I interacted with them, all of them, every single one of them, seemed to be happy. They seemed to be having a good time. They seemed to be grateful that they were having this experience and that they were able to hike. I didn't hear them complaining about the weather, which was bad. I didn't hear them complaining about their, body aches and their legs hurting, their feet hurting, or their shoes or their equipment. It was mostly positive. There was almost no complaining, no disagreeable people there. It was very refreshing to see a group of people, especially younger people, just enjoying themselves, having a good time, even though they're doing this great thing of hiking the AT. So what I'm just saying, we as a people, I at work and other places, I basically hear a lot of complaining. I notice I get in that rut at the same time. So we frequently, we're used to hearing people complaining. Everybody's complaining about something. And in this group, I didn't hear it at all. There was no complaining about anything. All the hikers seemed to be getting along. And a lot of them were helping each other. If someone needed something, or someone was missing something, or someone had a problem with their gear, they seemed to want to help each other. They all kind of, either they knew each other, they knew of each other, or if they didn't know each other, it didn't matter because they're all hiking and doing the same thing. And they're all there trying to lift each other up to do this. And that was very refreshing. It's encouraging to see that there's still this mentality in society and there's still good people out there that are willing to do that and help their fellow man and not just walk past them if they're able to do it. I also was impressed with, everybody seemed very humble. They were humbled by the trail. They were humbled by their journey and what they were doing. So in the hikers I met, while they may look differently than me, they may dress differently than me, in the end, they were all doing the same thing and had the same goal. and they support each other. And that's just a reminder that we're all people and we're all here to help each other. We're all in this together. Also, I'm always fascinated by people and their story, whether it's just the story of their life, some of the hikers, why they're out there, what they're out there trying to accomplish, or maybe transitioning from one thing to another. It's just everybody's life is interesting. There's a story there. And I wish, and I always say I should, but I don't take time out, but it would be nice to get to know some of the people that are hiking and get their story. I think that would be good because it is fascinating. Every person, every hiker that was out there, every person has their story, and it is interesting and fascinating, and there's something to be gained from that. So that's all I have. I enjoyed this. I'm hoping and I assume that this weekend, this training weekend they do, will continue in the future. I hope it does. I hope it continues to flourish and be successful. And I think if you're considering a hike on the AT or even another long distance trail, whether it's by sections or through hike in 1 year, it would be good for you to maybe go think about this and see if this is right for you. They did not go over how to set a tent up, step by step. So this is a little bit more involved and basic, but those are things that you can learn to do, obviously through videos. And I'm sure, and I would like to think that if you were unsure of how to do that and you probably asked someone, they probably would have taken you aside and shown you how to do that. So I think if that's where you're at and you're just starting this journey into hiking and backpacking, then, that may be something for you. But if you're considering doing something a little bit more, and maybe you have a couple of nights out there, or maybe you don't, this would be something you would consider. I hope you like this video. Thank you so much for joining me. If you do like it or you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I will get back to you. Other than that, please consider giving me a thumbs up. And as always, till we meet again.
Don't think that prepared me for what I want to do.
I heard you talking. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm talking, videoing myself.
Oh,
It's okay. Don't worry
Oh
about
my
it.
God, so sorry.
Oh no, not at all. I'm out in the open. Look, it's
There you
great.
go.
So
Happy trails.
take care.